Yep.
Here we go.
Hello and welcome to um, Thrive Thursday Zoom with Coach Minuin and myself, Kathy. And this evening, we are going to talk a little bit more about mobile homes. We're going to talk about getting the title, which is quite an interesting little process. We're going to talk about pricing, which can be extremely eye opening to you and having those how to get and maintain those properties, those mobile homes within a park. I think that's a little bit easier to get started right within a park than individually,
hmm
right? All
So,
right.
welcome everybody. On this one, we're going to go over some things that we didn't go over in part one. Excuse me, my little buddy Memphis is over here wanting some attention. So, I'm a real person, a real investor. So, just like some of you guys, I have pets too, and they want some attention every time you start to do something. So, he's over here chewing on my hand, and that's okay. But anyway, so one of the first things I want to talk about with mobile home is it's just like a car. Okay. So if you go to your friend or family member and you buy a car, for the car to legally be yours, you need a title. Okay. So one of the things that we run across with individual mobile homes is that sometimes they don't have the title. And without the title, you pretty much, well, let me say this. Without the title, you cannot move it by a mover. Okay. That's one of their stipulations that in order to move a mobile home down the road to another location, you must have the title in hand. Okay.
Just like a car.
Exactly.
So pretty much anything that has a wheel, you need a title.
Exactly. You better be the owner. Okay. And you have to prove ownership. Now, moving on. Let's just say the owner doesn't have the title. So when we're out prospecting to get the mobile homes, it's just like distressed houses. Okay, I'm not prospecting for a 2015 mobile home. It's too expensive. These things have gotten out of control, price wise. They are the last frontier of affordable housing. The last, next to tiny houses. Okay, and tiny houses and mobile homes are considered the same thing. I should get my terminology right. I need to be saying manufactured home, but you get me. Just don't go around calling them trailers. Okay. Now, when you talk to people on the phone, they're going to use the word trailer. Okay. I'm just telling you, that's what they're going to do. They're going to use the word trailer. We don't use it. I still say mobile home, but the correct term in present day 2022 is manufactured home. Okay. Um, Sometimes when you're calling people or you talk to them on the phone, that's one of the very first questions you need to ask them. Do you have title in hand? Most people will say yeah. Some will say I have it, but I need to find it. All right. Start being careful. Okay. If they say they have it and they need to find it, then your next question is it in your name? Okay. A lot of times you can see that on some public records, but you need to ask if it's in their name. The reason is you can apply for a title. Okay. You can go to the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicle, and get a title. There's a form on any state website. It's going to be the same one for a car, but all you need to do is go ask Mr. Google, for example, say you're in Arkansas, um, um, get lost title, mobile home, state of Arkansas, and everything will come up. And you do your research, you'll find the proper forms. Usually, the original owner needs to sign that. Most of the time, you can do a third party pickup of the title. Okay, I do this a lot. Let's just say I'm in South Carolina, I live in Charleston, and somebody has a mobile home that is sitting in Columbia, South Carolina, but they live in Greenville, South Carolina. Okay. I can get a form, have the original owner sign it, that allows me to go to the DMV and pick up the title in the original owner's name. Okay. I go in with my driver's license, give it to them. Here in the state of South Carolina, I think it costs $35. And boom, they print the title right there on the spot. Okay. On
Nice.
the state paper. It's not on some blank white sheet of paper. It's on that original title paper. So now I have the title that's in the owner's name. Okay. Now, people, don't go out here and do some stupid stuff. All right. Don't start forging signatures. I know it's easy and it's tempting. Do not do it, because if something goes wrong, you just committed fraud. Okay. So you let the original owner sign that title over to somebody else, because it requires their signature. All right. Now, mobile homes are a very quick way to make money. Very quick way. That's mobile home without the land. Okay. So what I'm talking about is mobile home without the land. You don't need a title company. You don't need a closing attorney. If it's the mobile home and land, you need to go to a closing real estate attorney or a closing title company, just like you would any other piece of real property. Okay. Outside of that, that's the best way to get the title. Now, there's one other step you can do if you cannot find the title or the VIN number. And let me back up. In order to go pick up the title, a third-party title, you need to have the VIN number, vehicle identification number.
Where would you find that on the mobile home?
Here's where it gets a little tricky. So there is something called a data plate on every mobile home. It's basically an imprinted plastic sheet of paper that is usually in one of two places. It's usually inside the closet of the master bedroom, okay, and or inside one of the doors under the sink in the kitchen, okay? And this is going to lead me to some other information. That data plate has all the information, the VIN number, sort of like a car, okay? You have a data sheet on that car that says how much it weighs, how many axles, when it was built, who built it, where it was delivered from, yada, 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 yada. That's where you're gonna get all that information. In order to pick up that title, you need to have that VIN number. Now, let's just say, and this happens a lot with these older ones, they've been remodeled or they've been destroyed on the inside, almost down to a shell. Okay, so there is no closet door, there is no kitchen sink, or there is a kitchen sink, but it's been rotted out and all that information is gone. So the last place, you're gonna love this, is to go outside up under the mobile home and start looking on the frame to get this engraved long number. I think it's 12 digits or 16 digits, I don't remember. It's engraved into the iron frame. Okay, it's usually rusted over. It usually has spiders and ants and maybe some snakes if it's in the summertime. Might be a couple of raccoons and some squirrels down there too. Who knows? Just be prepared. Okay, you're gonna have to get dirty if you want to make that money. Okay,
Make sure you got a good flashlight for that one, huh?
Oh yeah, you better have a good flashlight. You might want to have something to prod with too. But that's how you get it. So you have to have that VIN number on that third-party title application. All right. Now, let's just say, and I'm currently dealing with one like this. You can't find it. It doesn't exist. Maybe it's rusted over so bad that you can't find that VIN number. So now it's the same as a car. There is no VIN number per se. It's been stripped down. So now you have to apply to the state for a new VIN number so that you can transfer this vehicle somewhere else and or become the rightful owner of said vehicle. Make sense? So just like cars at an auction, sometimes these cars have been picked up on the side of the road, impounded by the police, yada yada yada. So now you have to apply for the specific paperwork in order to transfer and have a clean title with somebody else.
Right.
There's paperwork for that. It's usually called derelict or abandonment paperwork. It's usually just one form. All you're doing is you're saying, hey, we can't find somebody left it here on the property. I bought this property, it's been left here. We can't find the owners. So now I'm applying for a lost VIN number or whatever so that I can sell it or get rid of it. Okay. So that's the other step. All right. So that's the importance of the VIN. That is the one thing that will stop you from transferring title or making some money off of the mobile home only.
Minuan, if you have to get this new VIN number, about how long does that take? And I'm sorry?
About 30 days.
Even during COVID?
Could be faster, could be longer. I would say during COVID, maybe up to 45, but a lot of places have gone back to work, and yeah, we're getting better.
Gotcha. Interesting. Well, so even 45 days isn't really that long. I was thinking maybe 6 months or something, so that's not so bad.
Right? No, it won't take that long.
Interesting.
Excuse me. All right, so the next thing, so we covered the VIN number and the title. Let's talk about moving. We're talking about the single mobile homes. Many people do not want to sell the land with the home. Land is king. They're not making any more land. What the land that we have is all we have. And because of climate change, there's less land. But anyway, that's another story. So when moving, you must check the laws, because the last thing you want to do is go put a mobile home under contract with somebody, tell them you're going to sell it or buy it yourself when you're really going to assign it, and now you can't move it because it's too old to be allowed on the roads in that particular jurisdiction. Make sense? For example, some counties will say you can't have a home being moved down the road that's over 20 years old. They won't give you a permit for it. Hence why you need the title in hand, because the title tells you what year it is.
So you have to get a permit to move a mobile home.
Oh, Kathy, I saw that. I heard that. But anyway.
I know. I corrected myself.
Yep. The mover has to get the permit.
And do they move those on a trailer or a flatbed?
Now, watch this. Let's say I'm in a county that says you can't move a mobile home down the road on its own wheels that is over 20 years old. So here we are, basically 2022. Let's say I have a 1995 mobile home, which in 1995, a lot of those are still in pretty good shape.
I was going to say, that's really not that old.
That's the sweet spot. I love those that are in the 90s. Let's say it's a 19, so we can't have it over 20 years. Let's say I got a 95. The only way to get around that is we would literally have to remove the wheels from that mobile home and put it on another type of flatbed trailer that is not the wheels of the mobile home rolling down the road. Think of it like a giant piece of heavy machinery. We can't drive that big piece of machinery down the highway. We got to put that thing up on a low boy or something like that and drive it with a semi down the road. That's the only way you can move it. Well, guess what? You just doubled the cost of moving that thing. It's not even worth it to move it anymore. You do better just to tear it down and go buy something else.
Interesting.
Yep. So once again, with the moving, check the local laws about moving. And the movers are going to tell you that too. When you get ready to call the movers, they're going to ask you what year it is, where you picking it up from, and where you're moving it to. And they'll tell you right there on the spot, wait a minute, I don't know if we can do that. Okay. And moving cost does vary by the length, the distance of moving. Okay.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So the next one is I'm gonna cover two things: pricing and parks. Pricing is a big one. There used to be sort of a blue book out there for manufactured homes. It's not worth 2 cents. I don't even think it really exists anymore. The best way is to go on some of the message boards, whether they be in Facebook, Craigslist, wherever, just on the internet, and look and compare prices. Oh, and the other thing is read the comments. Okay. Listen, folks, if somebody has a single wide that is 1980 and I can bring this one up, and they're asking 15,000 for it, and it looks like it's gonna break as soon as you try to move it, that's too much. That's too much. I mean, sometimes with these, the older they are, the less money you're gonna make. Put it like that. If it's a 1985, I mean, a 1985 single wide, man, you're looking at 3 to 5,000. Okay, and that's just gonna depend on the condition. No way on God's green earth is somebody gonna pay you $15,000 for a 1980 mobile home single wide, and they still have to move it. Not gonna happen. You'll be holding that thing forever. You're actually gonna embarrass yourself. Okay, so do your research on prices. You can put feelers out there. People will come back and tell you what they want to pay, things like that, and you'll learn over time. It's just like wholesaling anything else or selling anything else. I mean, if I'm out here with a 2000 Nissan Xterra with 215,000 miles on it, and I go out here and I start asking for 9, 10,000, people are gonna laugh at me. They're like, "What are you doing? That's crazy. That thing's worth $1,500." You see what I mean? So you need to put your pricing in accordingly. It's just like when we're selling houses. Hey, if your house doesn't sell, one or two things are wrong. Usually it's overpriced, or it's in a neighborhood that nobody wants to be caught dead in. Okay. So for pricing, you literally have to just do some legwork. All right. And that's where we are on pricing. One of the other things that you can do is, and we can have another discussion about this, is getting them in parks. Okay. There are derelict parks or parks that another investor has bought. The investor will buy the park because they want the lot rent. The land is not going anywhere. It will forever or for perpetuity bring in money. That home won't always bring in money because at some point it's going to have to be remodeled to be livable. So a lot of times you'll find mom and pop parks or an investor park where, say there's 20 homes in there, but the investor has maybe 12 of them that are just trash that need to be renovated. You don't really want to bring in another home because it costs a lot. So it's better to say, hey, I own the dirt. I'll keep the dirt. I'll give the home to somebody else, but I will tell them they have to renovate it and they have to leave it in the park under a lien for a minimum of 3 to 5 years. Okay. Then after that, you can do whatever you want to. Well, one of the best things you do is to take that deal. I've had them give them to me for free. Okay. Or $1,000 or $1,500, things like that. You go in, you renovate it, then you turn around and sell the thing out on a finance. You're still collecting rent, for a few years, and you got a down payment to pretty much cover most of your initial investment. So buying them in parts and keeping them there and then turn around and doing an owner finance, one of the sweetest things out there. So if that's something you're interested in, be sure and contact me or Kathy, and we'll get you set straight on the right path to doing that. But that's a real quick way to get into rental properties and producing that passive cash flow. Oh, and by the way, you can also sell the note. Okay. So now you become a note holder and you can literally sell that note because now you're the bank.
Very interesting, Minuan. Very interesting.
Okay. So that covers the pricing in the parks. A couple of things that you must always know, and I probably should have said this in the beginning. Um, when you're doing your disposition for mobile homes, the very first question or first two questions you're gonna get is what wind zone is it and what year is it? Because different parks, different municipalities within a county have certain stipulations on the year and the size. I don't have a problem with the size too much, but there are some of these manufactured homes that are extra long. Okay, you'll have a single wide that's got 3 bedrooms, so it's extra long. Some communities will not allow them over a certain length. So people are going to ask you what year it is, which you should be putting in your advertisement anyway. Then they're going to ask you what wind zone it is. You should have that in there too. Okay. You don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry calling you, ask you, hey, well, what wind zone is it? And what's the length times width? And that's the third one, the length and the width. The length and the width, you don't get too much, but the wind zone is super important. And I'll run over this part real quick. Here in Charleston, South Carolina, the law says any county and adjacent county that has water. So Charleston County borders water. So Charleston County has land and runs into the water. Okay. Then let's just say the next county that is adjacent to Charleston County is Dorchester County. The homes must be a wind zone 2 or 3. They can't be a 1. But if we go into the center of South Carolina, you can have a wind zone 1. Okay. The reason is hurricanes coming off of the Atlantic Ocean, so you get the picture. So these are the little things or the nuances that you must know wherever you are when it comes to these homes. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, those are the biggest ones that I find. And that's per my notes. That's pretty much all I have for now. These are the basics when trying to find a mobile homes. Mobile homes, when you're prospecting, you can pull a list. You can just drive by, get the address, find the owner, call them up, ask them if they want to sell. Usually, if it's just been sitting there growing up with bushes and old cars, they usually want to sell it. To most people, if it's not being lived in, it's not really looked at as an asset. It's just looked at as an old vehicle. Somebody was driving down the road, they saw it, they stopped, they asked you if you wanted to sell it, and you were like, "Hey, make me an offer." Here you go. So that's pretty much it for what I have on mobile home part 2.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, thank you. Your knowledge on mobile homes is impressive. I know really nothing. I have learned so much. And folks can also tune in to Ask an Expert. We have, I think it's two recordings with Nicole on mobile homes also. So those will be going up over the next 2 weeks. So really, people should be able to get a nice basic education. And if people are interested, like you said, give a shout out. We're happy to work with folks and take questions and assist. So fabulous job, Minuin.
Thank you, Kathy.
All right, guys, take care, and we'll see you next time on Thrive Thursday Zoom.
Have a good day, folks.